Coming up this week on the Course of Life podcast, it was celebrity fun at Pebble Beach, and we had a friend of the show playing very well. We get into all that, plus the Saudi oil money grab, annually the most controversial tournament of the golf year, where free agency has officially hit professional golf, and an insane finish as well. Plus, we're tuned into film festivals and the Olympics, and this week's guest is Steve Scott, a friend of the show who I got to meet in person at the PGA show. Great catching up with him as always. And our annual Super Bowl props chat. We're talking McDonald's, bread, and B-Day when we always end with food. It's a jam-packed one, and all of it is brought to you by our friends at Club Dr. Golf. Mike, nothing better than clean clubs, right, when you're looking down? Huh?
I mean, there's nothing I like better than looking down and seeing myself smiling back at me in my chrome club.
Right. If you're so lucky and you can get the reflection to shine on you from the club face, that's when you know you've really done a great job cleaning your clubs. It's a confidence booster. It makes the groove and the face operate the way it should and allows you to play just slightly better. You may not notice it, but it is the real deal. And Club Dr. Golf is the #1 golf club care solution for just that. I'm talking about cleaning your clubs with their solution or their spray, the polish, either one. Great options. And by the way, coming soon, little teaser, Mike, Club Dr. Golf coming out with a grip enhancement spray as well, too. Always nice when you get those aging grips and you want to shine a little more life in them as well. So Club Dr. Golf truly does it all. Check out clubdrgolf.com. Use promo code COL for 15% off any purchase. Again, promo code COL at clubdrgolf.com.
Interwebs, and welcome to Course of Life, part of the Morning Read Podcast Network. We are proud to be presented by our friends at Desert Fox Golf, Tosi Snacks, Club Dr. Golf, and Volvic. I'm Michael. He's Alex. And Alex, it was fun in the California coastline sun at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. A tournament that I think we really love. Some people, for some reason, don't seem to think this is a great tournament. I don't know why.
I don't know why the internet seems to be so bothered by this week, but I mean, you gotta kind of just let it soak in and just be like, guys, like, internet, calm down. Look at this course. Look how beautiful it is. Like, what are we complaining about? This, you know,
one of those beautiful courses in the country.
Animosity too on the internet, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the most beautiful courses in the country. The Sunday leaderboard and everything going on Sunday was not without the drama. Jordan Spieth, Patrick Cantlay, all in the hunt, and what turned into a who maybe really wants to win this tournament kind of Sunday, and who can close the deal kind of Sunday. And for a while there, it looked like either one of us was going to have a winner through the week, with my guy Jordan Spieth really making a run there for a little bit.
I forgot you had Spieth too.
Yeah, and I you know what it was? I turned it on right when Jordan Spieth took the lead, and then he started not having the lead anymore. So
you
moral
did.
of the story is I
just when crunch time hit, and you were like, "Here I am, I'm locked in." And then both of our picks immediately ejected themselves. So Jordan Spieth started fumbling down the stretch, and Troy Merritt had a double at 17. I was trying to post him in the clubhouse, maybe throw a number up there that might have been intimidating, but that was not to be. And it ended up being a first-time winner in Tom Hoge, a.k.a. Mr. Sandwich, I call him. I mean, he's the emoji that I throw up there anytime I bet on him with a tournament. He finally breaks through with his first win. A guy that's been around on tour for several years now, been kind of hinting around at it and had some high finishes, but snuck through and made the clutch putts he needed to, especially that birdie on 17 to really extend the lead to 2. That's when you know you give yourself a little bit of comfort, and he was able to steer it home.
Yeah, you know, he's really showed a lot of grit and determination down the stretch to close the deal and get it done. And I will say, though, that I still wouldn't count out Jordan Spieth on having a big year again this year, because he still looked really good, even if he didn't close at the end of the day. He looked like Jordan Spieth. He looked good.
Yeah, I don't really know what it was. It wasn't anything super blaring that led to his mistakes down the stretch. Just some choices around the greens that he may question as well, too. and a couple putts he really needed late on Sunday that he just wasn't having. It's a softer green course that gets a lot of play. By the time you get to the end of the day on Sunday, those can be some bumpy little greens, even at such a beautiful venue like Pebble. So
he had a putt, what was it, on 14 or 15, I think, that like just skirted past the hole. And that if that had dropped, I think it would have been his tournament to lose at that point. So I think he's got a lot to build on this to have a really big year. And we'll see what happens with him. But the guy I think we really need to talk about is our boy. We need to talk about our boy.
Friend of the show, Mark Baldwin, right? What a great week that was. We mentioned last week that we'd seen he'd gotten the sponsors exemption into the tournament. So I was immediately excited. I immediately put two and two together. I was like, oh, Ryan, Mr. Monday Q Info, definitely caddying for this one. I know he's going to be part of this week. And it was so cool to follow Mark Baldwin's chronicling of the entire week on Twitter. You could tell these were two guys and friends that just had the opportunity of a lifetime. They had a couple of great little hand around the shoulder moments walking up 18 at Pebble Beach. And it was magical. Not only did he make the cut and play through the weekend, he made it to Sunday, had himself a nice little paycheck. And I couldn't believe it. But there was a couple times when I've seen some highlights from Mark, I was kind of like welling up. I was getting a little emotional watching the whole experience. He's one of those lifelong grinders, and it was amazing to see him come through this week.
Yeah, he had a 66 on Saturday, had some Tiger-esque moments, had a big fist pump as well at one point, draining some long putts.
It was great to see the Baldwin Brigade tweeting left and right for Mark's highlights throughout the week. That was the easiest way to stay informed. And the ironic part of all this is there was a point in the weekend where, unfortunately, our friends at the PGA Tour thought that what Ryan and the Fire Pit Collective and the Baldwin Brigade were doing was too much, and they actually got chastised for too many live play-by-play updates, because God forbid we all, find information on Twitter instead of going to the PGA Tour app for our scoring, right? So it was a little bit of a wet blanket on the week, but nonetheless, it was great to see them out there all weekend, just crushing it too. Just great to see Mark crush it out there.
We're going to see more of him. We know we are. He's here to stay now. He is.
Yeah, he did. So he didn't Monday. Live update is he did not Monday qualify for the Waste Management. So he's going to have to look to future weeks now. But listen, if you have a West Coast venue right now and you got a couple spots open and you're wondering where to throw those sponsors exemptions, what better opportunity to capitalize on a really great story from a lifelong grinder, a guy that's a new dad, has a wonderful personality, an amazing game, just hasn't quite gotten the opportunities when he needs them. Hopefully someone out there is listening and will give Mark at least one more shot, or maybe he'll just go get it for himself on the PGA Tour.
I think he will. I think we'll have a little bit of both. I think we'll get a little bit of both. Right.
I like that. Cool. Yeah, no, that was good to see. That was my definitely pro highlight. Obviously, the celebs were in the field. We saw Carlton do the Fresh Prince dance, of course, on demand because he has to. Did you see any of the good Macklemore content? Your boy, he was featured a lot on the broadcast throughout the weekend. It was really cool to see him there repping Pebble Beach.
Yeah, I didn't see as much of him, but I did see we got the Carlton. I did see that.
Yeah. Yes, so Macklemore and Schoolboy Q, a couple of rappers walking down the 17th. Definitely one of the cooler moments for the game of golf. Neat to see the celebs out there in action. I saw Ray Romano beating balls on the range till late in the night, still grinding it out. So neat to see the celebrities paired with the pros. Always a fun week. Again, I want to circle back to the beginning. The internet was really hating on just everything from Pebble Beach this week. I will have none of that. I enjoy the week wholeheartedly.
It's not like Pebble Beach isn't one of the most beautiful courses in the country for nothing and hasn't hosted however many majors it's hosted.
Yeah,
and we get the joy of getting to see this golf course every year as well. So, that's what I love about this in general. Let's talk about the LPGA, because we had a first over on the LPGA when Liana Maguire became the first Irish woman to win on the LPGA.
How about that? That's kind of strange. Wouldn't you think that would have been checked off by now? It's kind of crazy. I think she's the first Irish woman to get it done, yeah? Yeah, you would think so, but she got to do it, and she did it on the day before her mother's birthday. So she got a nice little That's
mother's
very
gift.
Cool. And I saw she sent a message to Irishman's Seamus Power, who was in contention Hopefully he could have gotten done and made the Irish one too. But nonetheless, it was cool to see Leona Maguire, a player who's been a mainstay on tour for a couple of years now. Definitely had her moment in the Solheim Cup this past year, and she gets it done with the first W in Southwest Florida. Good stuff from Leona.
Let's jump across the pond to the DP World Tour because they were
let me get my wallet out. Hold on, where are your checkbooks right now?
They were at the money grab out there in Saudi Arabia, and let's. Do we want to talk money or do we want to talk HV3? I mean, there's a lot of different ways we can go. Let's get to HV3
real fast first because we got to shout the fact that this tournament ended with the putt of the year. For 2022, yes. I'm calling it, Mike. This is the putt of the year to get it done by HV3. So that needs to be shouted out.
Eagle.
Unbelievable eagle.
Huge eagle.
I was watching early Sunday morning. I was just doing the calculation in my head, being like, okay, up and down from there. Oh, wow, he's going to putt. I might chip this. I don't know. It looks like a long putt. Okay, right, he's going to lag it up. Best of luck 2-putting. And then all of a sudden, the unthinkable happened, and HV3 gets it done with what was close to, I think, 100-foot eagle. So that was crazy. Absolutely an amazing way to get his second win. Still hasn't won on the PGA Tour, but his second professional win.
Yeah, so big win for him. And then Bubba came running out of the clubhouse and gave him a hug and a high five and congratulated him for that win. And just showed how many PGA Tour stars were here and not at Pebble Beach. They were all here because of all the money that was showered upon them to come here, including $135 million to Bryson.
Well, yes, that is not a typo. That's a real thing that I typed out. So essentially the backstory is this Saudi event is part of the Asian Tour. Also a little bit kind of part of the conglomerate with Greg Norman. We've heard this other tour being created in secrecy, and there's a lot of connections to the Asian Tour. So this is the opportunity for basically the Saudi Tour, this premier golf tour, whatever you want to call it, to give their pitch to the world's best. Let's bring them out here. Let's shower them with money. Let's show them a good time. And just throw offers their way and see who we can get. The big rumor that circulated from this week was the Saudis. They dropped the bag. Mike, they pulled in and backed up the Brinks truck for Bryson DeChambeau and allegedly offered him $135 million offer to basically be the face of this new tour. Now, intrinsically, I think that means he would be banned from the PGA Tour. I don't know if he would be able to participate in any majors because they're not all fully PGA Tour sanctioned, but more than likely his golf career would take a complete U-turn. But for $135 million, Mike, I gotta say it's a pretty tempting offer, isn't it?
Yeah, I would have no problem whatsoever if I didn't have to watch Bryson on tour anymore, though. I got to be completely honest.
So you're okay with him taking this offer then?
I don't think he's good for the game. Hot take right there, maybe. But I'd be perfectly fine if he bailed. Dustin Johnson too is on that short list, maybe of people that could be bailing on us. I wouldn't be surprised if DJ bailed. I'd be disappointed if he bailed, but I wouldn't be surprised if he were to go that way too.
I mean, and then Phil spoke up and quoted the obnoxious greed of the PGA Tour. This being the guy that just won the PIP. I mean, we kind of forget that, but still, the PGA
I think though
it greedy. Okay, got it. Yeah.
It really says something when Phil Mickelson says you're greedy.
I know. Mr. Insider Trading himself.
For all the things we love about Phil, he is most certainly all about the Benjamins. And
I wonder what his offer is. That's what I just kept tweeting out all week. I'm at Course of Life 1 on Twitter. You're at MWRNC. Every time I saw a player on TV, I was just like, I wonder what the Saudis offered him. Yeah. It could be astronomical if Bryson's getting $135 million. We saw that very eerie, strange photo, Mike, of Dustin Johnson laughing it up with the Saudi prince off of the 18th green and Jared Kushner in the background lurking. I knew that one threw you for a loop. I had to send that your way.
Didn't you also hear that supposedly this Greg Norman tour is scouting Trump courses across the country as well?
Oh, yeah. The connections are there. We can connect the dots. And I know DJ is very close with the Donald as well, too. So you can do your own math there. But there's definitely a list of guys, and we named a few right there, that could be very likely to jump ship at this future new tour. One of these stories that's been bubbling for a while, I think we're starting to really throw some oil on the pot, though, with this tournament this week. And this kind of resurfaces the buzz on it as well. So we'll be interested to see where this all leads.
Well, I think we're just going to keep simmering for a long time, and it's never going to go anywhere. But in the meantime, let's talk about one of the most energetic tournaments of the year, and that is the Waste Management Phoenix Open in Phoenix. Super Bowl weekend. Easily one of the most fun tournaments of the year. They need to do more tournaments like this. And guess what? It's got a loaded field. John Rahm, Justin Thomas, Hideki Matsuyama, Victor Hovland, Jordan Spieth, Xander, Patrick Cantlay, Brooks Koepka, Scotty Scheffler, Bubba Watson. This is an awfully big field coming out here.
I'm not going to blow speakers, but big time golf clap for the Waste Management for putting this field together. That's an all-timer right there. That list you just named. Mm-hmm. I love seeing that Super Bowl week. And Mike, hard to believe, 2 years ago to the day, I was at this tournament pre-COVID. How about that for a time warp? Huh?
In the before times.
Yes, in the before times, exactly. When mosh pits were wanted and encouraged all the time. No, but it'll be good to see the crowds back in full effect there, especially at the 16th. A lot of our friends of the show will be there for sure. Always a great party. Super Bowl week, Waste Management, Scottsdale, Arizona. If you are just partially or tangentially interested in going to a golf tournament at any point in your life and you haven't been, that is on the top of my list of suggestions to everyone that's looking to get into the game. Check it out if you happen to be in the area this week or a future year. It's an all-time spectator sport, not just for the golf, Mike. At the end of the day is always interesting at the Waste Management. You get some pretty wasted people that are trying to find the exits in their buses. And let's just say it turns into quite a sport trying to watch these people navigate home. So always a party in Scottsdale.
It is indeed. I'm gonna make us with a field this loaded. Each throw out one name to keep an eye on, and I'll start for you.
Okay.
My guy that I'm pretty positive right now I'm going to be putting a buck on is defending champion Brooks Koepka.
Yeah, I like that. I like that pick. Yeah. Forgot he had that great chip in last year to get it done when he was on the 17th. So yeah, shout out to Brooksy. Man, I mean, it's freaking Patrick Cantlay has been so red hot. I usually lean towards Xander when we hit West Coast stops like this in Arizona or California. Those are two guys for sure I'll be looking at. How about our buddy Nate Lashley? Scottsdale native, has had a couple sneaky top 10s here in the last few years. You know, he hasn't maybe necessarily had his best golf recently, even by his accounts, but this is a course he loves and he's played well at. So if you want to go deep down the board, check out picks there. Wednesday evening, we'll post ours on Twitter. Again, I'm at Course of Life 1 and you're at MWRINC for our picks for the WM Phoenix Open.
Let's switch over to Tuned In, where we share what we're getting into outside of the world of golf. Typically, I would say sports there, but let's face it, Alex, it's the Olympics. It's time to watch the Olympics.
Yeah, this just happened too, didn't it? I feel like we did.
Opening ceremonies were
it's
yes.
The second Olympics in what, 6.5 months now. I was like, man, this feels all too familiar on NBC right now. I feel like I just saw this, but
you did. You did. So that's going on. I watched a little bit of it this weekend, watched some luge, which, you know, once again, every time I watch the luge, I'm like, why? I loved sledding as a kid. How didn't I get into doing this as my full time?
Yeah, I haven't seen the Jamaican bobsled team who I know qualified. I'll be anxious to watch them in coverage, but luge is always kind of interesting because you're watching and like in the corner of your mind, like I wonder what it takes to have an accident happen here. And every once in a while you see them. You're obviously not rooting for it to happen, but you kind of wonder what it's like if it happens. It's very intense out there.
These guys are going 75 miles an hour in a bodysuit on top of like 2 ice skates shoved on their butt.
No pads. And listen up, NFL fans. Okay, no shoulder pads in luge. Okay, that's an intense
if you
one.
have a wreck, you're screwed. If you have a wreck, so yeah.
We've also got obviously the U.S. Canada women's hockey crash course, which we'll see in the gold medal probably in a week or two. I've been watching a little bit of that. I've been watching the ice dancing. Shout out to Team USA getting the silver in the team competition for figure skating and ice dancing. There's some good stuff. Curling gets a little bit of a golf comparison. That conversation always circles around every Winter Olympics because you get that vibe. Like they're coaxing in like a 40-foot downhill right to left putt, and the way they kind of just scrub brush it in there. It's an art form, really.
That and curling is when you get to watch the every man and every woman compete in the Olympics, because they don't have the typical physique like you would attribute to an Olympian.
Nicely said. Yeah. They look like they all just got back from the brewery, basically.
Yeah.
They're just here to play a bar game, and they happen to be Olympians. Yeah, so I'll be tuned in.
I think that's how it starts for a lot of curlers, because they're up there in Minnesota, and they just have curling things in their bars because they got nothing else to do in the winter.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
What else you can do in the cold? I love it. No, Winter Olympics in full force. I'll be checking out for sure. I was tuned in to another friend of the show as well, too, who had his annual Mammoth Film Festival production put on for the entire film industry to see, talking about our buddy Tanner Beard. You remember in November, I went out for the Mammoth Media Institute Open, the golf tournament, to promote everything going on with the film festival. The festival weekend came and went. I don't know what clips you saw, Mike, but it was a really good attendance. Saw a lot of world premieres too, a lot of big stars and panels and whatnot. It was just nice to see Mammoth back. I know Tanner had anxiously been awaiting, obviously because of the break last year, to get the film festival back into action, and it looked like he crushed it.
Yeah, film festivals in general right now are in that kind of weird space where it's like, who's going to come to these, because we just don't know what's really happening in the world. But film festivals are back, and I think that's great. It's good.
So many freaking obstacles Tanner was telling me about to get it done, and he did successfully. Had to have everyone be vaxxed there. Just had to because of just policy within California and everything like that. And there were a lot of protocols that they had to follow, but they did it successfully. And it was neat to see movies like The Immaculate Room. That's an interesting one. Look that one up down the road. Luke Hemsworth had his premiere at Bosch and Rocket. I got to speak with him a couple months prior and talk about that movie at the tournament as well too. So it was neat to see all those people resurface. And shout out to Tanner, Tomek, and the team for crushing it, the Mammoth Film Festival.
All right, let's get into this week's guest. And this is a conversation that you've had when you were at that PGA merchandise show just like a week and a half ago at this point. It seems like it was so long ago, wasn't it? At this point? I mean,
and it was one of those little 48-hour trips. So like those trips, they come and go so fast. It's one of those deals where like you have so many vivid memories of the trip, but yet it was so fast and fleeting that it feels like it was years ago. But yeah, it was a couple weeks ago when I got to go to the PGA show and reconnect with a guest that we'd had on previously in 2020. Mike, you remember I chronicled Tiger Woods' 96 U.S. amateur victory in stunning fashion in a playoff against a little-known guy named Steve Scott, who went on to be quite the figure himself in the world of golf. And it was neat to reconnect with him in real life and say hi to Steve and catch up on old times and update a little people on the book he's coming out with regards to that 96 U.S. amateur duel as well, too. So a neat conversation coming your way with a friend of the show, Steve Scott.
That's right. And we'll get to that conversation in just a moment. But first, let's talk about my favorite bright yellow golf ball, Alex. Let's talk about the Volvic XT Soft.
Yeah, I just played with it last weekend, Mike. It went very well. The nice part about the XT Soft is the name actually tells the truth. But everyone gets a little worried when they say, it's a soft golf ball. How's it going to fly? I got news for you. I did like a little comparison, like head to head, just against your average, just white Titleist ball. There really wasn't that much difference in the yardage from my driver. And it just has a nice stable flight, which is reliable. And I'm keeping it in the bag for that reason.
Exactly. And it's sharp. It's in bright yellow. So you're not going to miss it when it flies up into the clouds or into the woods where maybe it's harder for you to find a ball like me.
True.
And it's great for that. And you can get it on their website, volvic.com. You can get yourself that bright yellow Volvic XT Soft. They also have the Vivid ball, which you can get as well. It's a matte finish, the number one matte finish ball in golf. So you can get even more cool colors and looks out there. And that one will give you some straight tee shots and good feel around the greens, so you can get some lower scores. And of course, that means more fun. And Volvic doesn't spend all their marketing money on top tour players. Instead, they spend it on people like us who don't demand multi-billion dollars just to go play in a tournament in Saudi Arabia. Instead, they take all that extra money and they put it right back into the golf ball itself to make something that's fantastic for everyone out there. So head on over to their website. It's volvic.com. That's VOLVIK. Performance in color. That's Volvic.
All right, next up on the tee, great to have a recurring guest here live on the PGA show floor. We last caught up with him in 2020, but we have a lot to catch up on. PGA Pro, 1996 U.S. Amateur finalist, Steve Scott, joining us again on the Course of Life. Steve, great to have you back.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me, Alex.
Great to see you live as well, too. For everyone who's at the PGA show, they can check out the QR code here. And it's, hey, Tiger, you need to move your mark back. 9 words that maybe change the complexion of the history of the game. Maybe. We'll let you hypothesize on that. But first off, how did the book come together and the idea to put this into a full-length story?
Yeah, it kind of came about really a little bit more happenstance. You know, so all full disclosure, I had a great co-writer, a guy named Trip Bowden. He wrote a great book about 12 years ago called Freddie and Me. Trip was the first white caddy at Augusta National back in the late 80s, and he wrote a great book. And anyway, I had him into one of my events in Augusta for my Silver Club Golfing Society, and he said, I told him my story. I said, I got to write this book. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. And so, you kind of flesh it out, and 20, 25 pages. You submit it to the publisher. He had the publishing contacts in New York. This guy was publishing. And then, things just started to take shape and got approval. And then we dove into it. And then, that was in January in 2020. And then March of 20, the pandemic hit. We had all the time in the world to talk on the phone and really dived really deep into these stories. And so, I guess the pandemic was good for something.
Yeah, definitely. I'll touch on that a little bit later, but I want to touch on where you were just before the PGA show week. You got to go to a place that's very vaunted in the game of golf right now. It's Streamsong. This is a resort that gets a lot of buzz, fairly new in the Florida area. Just tell me first off about the experience at Streamsong before we get to the club you've been as well.
Yeah, Streamsong. This is the 9th Streamsong Invitational. Great big pro-am, anywhere from 48 to 60 teams play this thing, play all 3 golf courses. And really, I was able to take my members from my golfing society and just have a great time. I mean, we were there. We played 4 rounds of golf in total, and great gift package, the whole thing. And the team finished well. We finished top 5, and I finished top 10 low pro. And so we're not playing much golf. That's pretty satisfactory.
I saw some nice scores. You're selling yourself short. You're playing well out there. It's good to see.
I had it going the first day. I had 5 under through 8 holes, and totally blew it on the easiest 9th hole. And I should have made birdie. I made bogey, and kind of thwarted the momentum a little. But yeah, I finished with a couple eagles on the back 9 and shot 65. So, it's still in there. The competitive Steve Scott is, never going to go away, but wasn't able to really sustain it. But it was fun. Finished 6th place.
Well, you were raving the whole time about the club that is absolutely shaking up the internet recently since its release. We're talking about the tailor-made Stealth made out of carbon wood there. It's beautiful. It presents beautifully. The internet's buzzing about it. You've actually hit it. Tell me what it's like new.
Yeah, I played it all. I got the head the night before the first day at Streamsong, and it is TaylorMade Stealth is awesome. I mean, it is. From all accounts, their forecasts are through the roof. Their pre-sales or whatever. I mean, they are. The TaylorMade Stealth is the real deal. It feels really smooth through impact, but the ball speeds are up 3-4 miles an hour. Everybody I've asked who's able to hit it, test it, ball speeds are up. I even saw something with Dustin Johnson, today, and he was doing. ball speed's 180 miles an hour, and with club speed, your club speed is not maybe that much more, but it just packs more of a punch, but it feels awesome, and TaylorMade, they nailed this one.
It looks like the real deal, so I'm excited to get my hands on it one day, whenever that is. So again, we're joined live on Instagram. We're on Course of Life podcast here at the PGA Show with Steve Scott. So just catch everyone up for everyone who knows your name and your golfing past, obviously with the Tiger, which we'll get into. But where are things now for life with Steve Scott? I know you're with Christy and the kids, but tell us about the day-to-day. What's going on?
Yeah, life is great. I mean, my wife Christy, we've been married 22 years. Kids are 13 and 11, and life is really good. Juggling a lot of balls in the air between my golfing society, the PGA Tour live broadcasting, the book that I wrote. I've been going on a lot of book tours and talking at a lot of member guests and whatnot. I've been getting in the corporate world of talking a bit, which is super fun. And the story, it's that story of integrity, the story of sportsmanship. It's the story that's kind of apropos for the times. I mean, it's a timeless story, but and from what we've gone through in the last few years, I think it's a very important one to kind of realize, hey, you don't always have to, try to cheat the system to win. And I think in a lot of ways that I've won, even though I didn't take the trophy home that day.
Yeah, there's a bigger resonation there. I appreciate that. So let's set the scene for that match in '96. I want you to quickly toot your horn as a junior player as well, because you were very accomplished in your own right. But it was interesting. There was a little bi-coastal thing going on between California and Florida with you and Tiger. Yeah. Tell everyone about kind of '95 and how that led up to the moment we all know you from in '96.
Yeah, I mean, 1995, I finished high school in 1995, and made it to the semifinals of the USAM at Newport Country Club, if that's what you're referencing.
Beautiful course, too.
And which got me automatically bypassed the qualifying for the 96 AM, which is important, because that's really, it's virtually impossible to qualify for that. So, especially nowadays, the competition's even deeper and tougher, whatever, but... Yeah, back then it was, it was really wonderful time, and I was playing great. The summer of 1996, I finished runner-up in a lot of events. I qualified for the U.S. Open a couple months before I played that Tiger match. There's a lot of great things that happened in the game, and so it's. Really, set things in motion that 95 USAM to have a chance to go ahead and try to do it again the next year. So
it's funny because it gets pinned, looking back as a David and Goliath situation, but you had your own Goliath moments as well too. So it's interesting how that set the stage for what happened in '96. So obviously you meet Tiger, and the question that everyone wants to know, that pretty much I don't think anyone on this PGA Show floor can answer is, what is it like to be just completely dominating Tiger Woods for 18 holes? 5 up at the end of the first 18.
I think I dominated for more than that. But a little bit more. But, the only time he ever led all day was, unfortunately, when it mattered on the 38th hole. I was up early and never relinquished my lead. But really, I was 5 up after 18 holes and shot 2 under par in the second 18. Right, so I didn't dog it. Let's put it that way. I forced him to do Tiger things, and he shot 65 in the afternoon and erased the 5-hole deficit. And we went to the 38th hole of the match, and that was it.
It was quite a whirlwind of a day, and we'll get into a couple moments within that day that I love particularly. The one that always comes up for me is the flop shot and the legendary fist pump. Okay, I want you to just kind of set the scene. I know you actually went back there to Pumpkin Ridge, saw a little bit of recreation as well too. That moment was an interesting tide-turning moment because we're so used to seeing Tiger being the fist pump deliverer.
Yeah.
Instead, it was you.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah, I guess it was funny. I did a thing with Shane Bacon and Max Homa during the summer. They were kind of like a watch party for USGA events and whatnot, and we did. I was on that match.
I'm sure Max Homa was very easy on you.
And he was cool. He was great. He says, Steve, I think you might be the only guy who's pulling the Tiger on Tiger. And that was a nice compliment from him. But that moment for sure, kind of turned the tide of the match a little bit, and it was pretty amazing though, that whole event. I seemed to hit a shot or hole a putt or whatever it was, some shot that you might hit, once a year, or for some people once in a lifetime. I seem to do it in every single match, and that's really what it takes to make it all the way through the U.S. Amateur and all the way to to that final. So. Yeah, it's you need a lot of luck, and you need to play really well, and you got to hope your opponent doesn't play so well sometimes too. So there's a lot of fortune that makes its way in when you're dealing with match play. And that's what makes what he did in all of those USGA events so much more important. And it's so dramatic. I mean, it's something that would be copied ever again. The 3 U.S. Juniors in a row, then 3 U.S. Amateurs in a row.
That's a rare couple of
36 consecutive matches won. I mean, 36. It's ridiculous. I don't care if we're playing hoops, you and I. I'm not going to win 36 straight. I don't care what it is.
Yeah, true dominance indeed. It was cool to have you be part of that day. Let's obviously get to the 16th hole, that match. It was the 34th of the 36-hole final. You're 2 up with 3 to play. Tiger moves his marker for your putt and then begins to forget to put it back. And what went through your mind that moment you saw that?
Yeah, really nothing went through my mind, because honestly it was an instinctive, reactive moment. I mean, and I think that's what I'm the most proud of, because it's something. This is what I speak about in a lot of my talks, right? During all the member guests and whatnot that I do. It's this is why golf is so great, because it taught me to do the right thing at an early age. It taught me to respect your opponent and respect the game and play within the spirit of the game. And that's really the essence of golf. And for me, to do something like that in a moment like that was, I look back on it and I'm glad that I was brought up the way that I was, because there's other people that might have not said something, and unfortunately that's not golf.
That's the reaction from a lot of people when they hear how you approach that situation. They think, oh, he's got Tiger on the ropes. Just let him mess up and the match is yours. But I know from when I previously spoke to you, that absolutely never really crossed your brain, did it?
No, that would. It's just not golf. Yeah. And it's just, I couldn't have. Granted, I could have totally forgotten, and people could have said, "Hey, you did that on purpose," and which I couldn't have lived with myself. I don't think if I would have known and not said something. I mean, I would have always lived with that. It would have been. I would have had to admit it somewhere along the line, and cleared my conscience, because I have I play golf with conscience.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Again, we're joined by Steve Scott here live on the PGA Show floor. It's a treat to have him back on the Course of Life podcast. I love the way you kind of talk about your legacy, but really how comfortable you are with it. Obviously, lots of people would look at this as being a second place finish in the U.S. Amateur. There's so much more of that to you. I want you to talk about kind of what you truly won from that day and everything it's given you moving forward.
I won the respect of people who have an appreciation for the game. I certainly would have loved to have taken that trophy home that day, but I guess I learned that and I've been very fortunate in life, and I had the opportunity to do many things from that runner-up finish, and it's carried me in interviews that I've done as a PGA professional, people, and I think as a PGA Tour Live broadcaster now, I mean, I think or certainly hope that people would look at me or listen to me and say, that guy's speaking the truth, because he always has, and I think that's it's right. It's my thing, right? And I hope it's kind of everybody's thing to think that way. But I guess history is told otherwise. But for me, that's the way I live my life, and. You let the chips fall where they may, and if you're going to win, don't win on technicality. Go and win it with your clubs in the case of golf, or win it win it the right way.
Very cool. I appreciate that. Let's talk about PGA Tour Live for a little bit. I'm going to fanboy out for a second because that broadcast is kind of revolutionized the way everyone watches golf. Myself, I'm a casual golf fan watching on TV, but the PGA Tour Live broadcast, it really resonates with me. I feel like I'm almost watching something I shouldn't be. It's that extra bonus coverage where you really get to see inside the Lauzon, what it's like on a quiet Thursday morning, and really get a much more in-depth perspective on those players and their rounds. What will you take away from the time you've done those PGA Tour Live broadcasts?
Yeah, without question. I mean, just this last few weeks now, the platform is just totally blown up. It's totally, going from one channel to 4 channels, or one stream to 4 streams right now, and on ESPN Plus instead of NBC Sports Gold. ESPN Plus has, I don't know the numbers, but a lot more followers.
It's enough to cover, yep.
So there's going to be so many eyeballs on the game, and gambling is in the game now too. So it's it's feeding that beast a little bit now. People can tune in and watch more golf and see the head-to-head matchups and see all that. But outside of that, you're going to be able to see. You've got 2 featured groups. You've got a marquee group, and then you have one that's basically just a mini telecast where they're jumping around from hole to hole, and we'll call it Golf Channel Light, right? It's you're great announcers. Great announcing team. Everybody from John Swantek to Brian Catrick to
legendary PGA Tour voice.
Craig Perks. Love listening to his Aussie voice and his knowledge. He's super smart. You have females in the mix. I think Chantel McCabe's going to be in there. Lisa Cornwell. You have a lot of really good, really experienced. Whit Watson, I've heard. Ryan Burr. A lot of Golf Channel people. This is a first class crew. For me to be involved with this at the outset, I'm so excited. So excited to be part of the platform, and I'm sure it will be highly, highly successful for PGA Tour Entertainment, PGA Tour Live brand.
It's only going to expand too. That's very exciting to see. You're a very busy guy, as we can tell. One other thing I want to shout out is what you do with Silver Club. Not only the Golfing Society, but the podcast as well. Just introduce people to that brand with the goals on it.
Yeah, the Silver Club Golfing Society is an amateur golfing society around the country that's for single-digit handicaps, and we set up events at some of the greatest clubs that you'd ever want to play golf at.
I think you just set one up right here before we popped on.
Exactly. It's Sunny Hannah Country Club, right? It's just super fun to be able to be around people who have an appreciation for competition, who have appreciation for great architecture. We've played places anywhere from Quaker Ridge to Inverness to Pasatiempo to Ballyneal to Triple Forest to Prairie Dunes. We play some of the places, probably most of the places that people want to check off their bucket list. Probably you too, right?
Rolling through my Instagram feed every day. You just named them all off.
Yeah,
right there.
So I'm very lucky. When I travel and run these events for our members, the office changes all the time, and which is super fun, and we're building the membership up really well. We're in our 4th year now, and although this year 2 was a little tough with COVID, last year in year 3 we thrived and grew the membership a lot, and we're over almost 220 members now, which is really exciting. And we're doing it at a slow pace. I talk to everybody who comes on board. I want to make sure that they're the right fits. We could have grown a lot faster, but we chose not to, and I think it's really worked itself out well for kind of having all the membership gel and the camaraderie of it, and we have a lot of fun at our dinners and drinking a whiskey around the fire pit and all those fun parts to golf outside of playing the game. So
appreciate that it's all encompassing. Very cool. Check out the Silver Club for sure.
Yeah, the podcast. You mentioned the podcast.
You and Colin, too. Yeah, I listened to a little bit of it.
Yeah, so Colin Sheehan, the men's golf coach at Yale, he and I, we co-hosted the podcast. We are 56 or 7 episodes deep now, which is kind of cool, and maybe not as many as you, Alex, but
we're only on about 200 right now.
There you go, exactly. We're a third of the way, or a quarter of the way, but we've gotten some really fun guests on there. We've had NBC's Dan Hicks. We've had USGA's Jason Moore on there. We've had Rob Labritz, who just won the PGA Tour Champions Qualifying School.
Yes.
great teacher. I mean, from Bob Ford to Bob Toski to Boyd Summerhays, who coaches Tony Finau, Wyndham Clark, and his whole family, who's up-and-coming stars in the game. It's been fun. It's been fun to really pick the brains of these people who really understand what golf is about, and really, we try to connect you with the cool parts of the game.
Nice. Colin's not short on the Yale references either, as well too. I one bone to pick only because I went to Quinnipiac, where their arch rival, about 10 minutes down the street, they took away a national championship from us in hockey, and I'll never live that down. So.
Okay, all right.
Let Colin know I love him, but easy on the Yale references. Okay,
all right.
It's the Silver Club podcast, and Steve Scott and Colin definitely want to check that out for sure. So let's talk about this book. Show attendees can check out the QR code and scan as well. Tay Tiger, you need to move your mark back. There's a lot of story that's in the book that I'm sure leads up to the day, talks about that day and beyond. What's the most important thing that you want people to take away from the book specifically?
Well, I want them to take away that you can walk away knowing that you played your best. You put everything out on the line in the competition, in the arena, right? Yeah. And you gave it everything, and you played, by the spirit of the game, whatever game it is, but obviously in my case it's golf. If you do that, you can walk away, win or lose, and not have a regret. And I think that's the message. That's the way I've lived my life. The game of golf it teaches us so many great things. It teaches us how to respect other people. It teaches us, and when you play a competition, and that competition that I played against Tiger was as gut-wrenching of a moment, or moments, over the course of that day and the 38 holes that you can have, but, to play within the spirit of the game and to really just and I think that's the biggest lesson, and when we were writing the book, Trip Bowden and I, my co-writer, it was, I really wanted to, I was picturing like 100 years down the line when my great-great-grandkids are reading this book.
They find it in the attic, all dusted off, yeah.
Who was on, what did I do in this life, right? And kind of not get too spiritual or anything, but it's just like, I want that message to be passed along that doing the right thing is can be beneficial, because we see it in life, we see it in politics, sports, whatever. People, they unfortunately they cheat the system, and we've seen it in Houston Astros banging on garbage cans, people corking bats.
It truly is everywhere, yeah.
And you wonder why some of these guys haven't gotten into the Baseball Hall of Fame and whatnot, and they didn't do it the right way. They didn't do it the right way, and you might win in the short term, but in the long term, you do the right thing, you win out.
Very well said. Steve Scott here, Course of Life. I really appreciate you taking the time to join us on the PGA Show 4. We are going to finish with our 19th hole question, which I asked you last time around. Okay, so you gave a very unique answer. It was one of the biggest buffet of food answers on the history of the podcast for what your favorite meal and drink is for the 19th hole. So I know you don't remember it, and I'm going to put you on the spot and see what your answer is now in 2022.
My favorite meal?
Yeah, when you get done for a long day on the course, you get in the clubhouse. What's your go-to order?
Oh man, I think it's got to be a cheeseburger and fries or something that's going to really fill me up, because I've burned a lot of calories. So I would say something like that, maybe an Oreo flurry or something from vanilla. I don't know, something that's I'm going to fill a lot of calories. Let's put that.
Yeah, you were very hungry the last time around because you said some sushi, and then you also said I also like a steak, or maybe if I'm in the mood, a chicken parm. So you just hit every single meat corner there.
There we go. I guess I'm an equal opportunity eater. So
that's right. Steve Scott joining us on the Course of Life. Thank you so much for joining. Enjoy the rest of the show week as well.
Thanks, Alex. Appreciate it.
That interview with Steve Scott was brought to you by Desert Fox Golf, our friends of the show and the makers of the Phone Caddy. The Phone Caddy lets you strap your phone right onto the side of your golf cart, so it's easy to view and use all day long. No more fumbling around the dark spaces of your golf cart, dropping your phone on the seat, or even worse, onto the grass as you drive away. The Phone Caddy keeps you locked in safely so you can stay locked into your round. A bit of talk of your foursome, and it's a great gift for any golfer in your life. And right now, you can save 10% off your purchase of a Phone Caddy with the promo code Course of Life. So you can get it now if you're in one of those parts of the country where you can't play golf. Get it now so you have it when the snow melts and it's warmer and you can go play. It comes in a range of cool colors, and you can even show your support with their patriotic line. So again, that's desertfoxgolf.com with the promo code Course of Life to save 10%. Promo code Course of Life at desertfoxgolf.com. And we're back. Great chat there with Steve Scott. Love listening to him on PGA Tour Live on ESPN Plus.
I know. How great is the PGA Tour live stream got in the last few years? No offense to NBC Sports Gold, but oh my God, what an upgrade getting over to ESPN Plus there. It's great hearing Steve on the call. They've got the 2 featured groups, the featured holes. Mike, it's nice to just watch 3 or 4 holes. And then the big broadcast within PGA Tour Live. It's just golf watching is at an unprecedented level in terms of just content and quantity of golf shots. For people who have been complaining about golf broadcasts, you can't do that anymore if you've got a subscription to ESPN Plus, because they show you everything you could want and more. And it's neat to see Steve be part of that team, and great to catch up with him as always.
Yeah, really the PGA Tour just finally learned from Augusta and the Masters and how much coverage people actually want of these tournaments, and is charting to deliver on that front.
Right. I know. So. Yeah, it was neat to connect with Steve and talk about everything he's got going on. Thank you to everyone for powering through there. Little audio. We're live on the show floor. Things are happening. People are making deals, but it was neat to connect with Steve and meet him in person as well.
And if you like that conversation with Steve, plus everything else we do here, or even most everything else we do here, just go ahead and punch that subscribe button. Give us a rating, ideally 4 or 5 stars or a thumbs up. But, if you're going to give us a thumbs down, I'll take what I can get right now. I just seek any and all feedback of any kind, including the negative, because I'm from New England and negative feedback is good feedback.
Yeah, you're shockingly shallow when it comes to things like that in your ego. So with that being said, let's fuel your ego with one of my favorite segments of the entire year here on the Course of Life podcast. It's the 4th annual as well, too, Mike. The 4th annual Super Bowl prop bet extravaganza. We're here. It's Super Bowl week. Wow.
It is. That means we're going to get to watch Tom Brady and the New England Patriots play against some other team that's going to lose. And, oh, wait, that's not happening. Let's talk about the...
oh, dear. That's really a pass bet, isn't it?
I know. But that said, we are getting Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar in the halftime show. So it does feel a little bit like a blast from the past to me.
Quite an ensemble with that cast, huh? What are your thoughts on, let's get to that right now, the halftime show. So there's all sorts of prop bets and random things that you at home can bet on regarding the Super Bowl. And it's got nothing to do with football. That's the best part of this segment, is we're not even going to talk about the game at all. The halftime show, you can actually bet on things within the halftime show when they happen and how they happen. The real thing I want to ask you with those 5 names there, who performs first? Who leads off the show? I was fascinated, Mike, to see that Mary J. Blige is actually the favorite to lead the show. Is that a little bit of a ladies first mentality? Do you buy her being the favorite there, or would you pick someone else to lead the halftime show?
I don't know. I don't think that's a horrible idea. I think that if I'm thinking optically, I don't think I really want Eminem to lead, because he's the one that looks different from everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. All right. No, we're just talking this through.
I would go with somebody else there.
We're just talking this through. We're just trying to win bets here. So.
Yeah. That said, I don't really know who would really. I feel like Mary. It depends. I don't know. I have no idea. If you're telling me I got to put $1 on someone,
I think she's going to be the default female singer whenever a female part is needed. So for that, I'm thinking she's the favorite to come out first because she's just going to participate in lots of songs, and she'll probably be out there for most of, if not the duration of the performance. That's an interesting line to look at. The other one, which I think you can get on board with a little more, is Eminem songs performed. Now, it's a very limited halftime show. Each of these artists is really only going to get 2, maybe 3 minutes to go through their work. Now, obviously, that's not enough time to get through anything close to what Eminem has done in his career. The question, Mike, is what do we think and we know is going to be performed by Eminem at the halftime show? Because you can bet on every single song.
I would think we might hear The Real Slim Shady or Lose Yourself, but...
Yeah, so those are 2 of the 3 favorites right now. I think Lose Yourself is absolutely a slam dunk. That is you must bet this right now. You need to bet that Eminem will perform Lose Yourself during the halftime show. It is the ultimate motivational song. No song has ever belonged more during a Super Bowl halftime show than Lose Yourself by Eminem. It fits the vibe of the night perfectly.
We could just do Lose Yourself as a halftime show.
Yeah,
it's a long enough song.
Let's just do like the YouTube videos. Let's just do 12 minutes of Lose Yourself on repeat. And we'll just play it through. Now that, and I think My Name Is might be the only other Eminem song we get, just because it's the introduction to Eminem. Everyone knows it. It's a classic. It's easy to know. Again, we're appealing to the mass audiences right now. So I'm going to bet on those to happen for Eminem.
Maybe the other question is, do we hear Lose Yourself as the first song or as the last song? I'm
thinking last, honestly. I think it's Hi, My Name Is. It's him combining with Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg on songs they have, and then it's a close with Lose Yourself. That's like my betting order as to how I see this going down.
I don't think that's too bad. I think that's a good way to look at it.
Let's talk pregame now. Tails never fails, right?
Always.
Yeah.
Except
it's been
when
on
it does.
Fire. I think it's 5 of the last 7 or 6 of the last 8 years, I think. Tails is one. So you need to just put your ego aside and just shout Tails never fails when you place that bet. That is obviously where I'm going for the coin toss. Let's talk about the National Anthem now. I know this is one that always intrigues you. Get your stopwatches out this year. You took a look at the line. What was your initial line when you saw the National Anthem? Who is singing it? I'm guessing you don't know much about Mickey Guyton and the time frame that they're listing out right now.
I know absolutely nothing about who this guy is or
who this girl
anything. See, there you go. I know absolutely nothing.
You are a blank slate on Mickey Guyton, clearly.
I know because you told me that they are a country singer.
Yes.
So I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to take the over.
This is a tough line that they made on the length of the National Anthem. It's at 95 seconds. So over or under 1 minute and 35 seconds is what you're betting at home on the length of the National Anthem. That is from start of the first note to the end of the last, including every last second of Brave. Over under 6.5 seconds on Brave, by the way. Just the word Brave, if you want to bet that and really have yourself a night. But it's going to be tempting to bet the over. That's much lower than it's been in recent years. The over-under is typically in the 140 to 150 range. However, Mickey Guyton's last 2 national anthems on TV, Mike, 125 and 140. So that's why we've got the number set at 135. That's going to be a pretty close call, but I am going to lean with you, and I'm going to pick the over because it's just no fun betting the under on that.
No, it never really is. Just how much controversy we're going to have when this is all said and done? Because didn't we have controversy a couple years ago on this one?
There was one that hit like the exact moment, and there was a little clarity on when they stopped and whose stopwatch was being used. And then last year, you'll remember, a reporter actually stood outside the stadium 5 hours before the game, and he stopwatched the rehearsal. And that went viral, and people started betting the over like crazy. So there could be some scandal on game day regarding the national anthem length. We'll see how that all plays out the rest of the week, though.
Let's talk about some of our other favorite prop bets. Gatorade color. What's it going to be, Alex? Orange or blue? Yeah,
I mean, well, obviously you've got Bengals orange, you've got Rams blue. Orange is generally a popular color anyway, regardless of team color too. So orange it's interesting. Orange is the favorite. Yet, really, the Rams are favored in this game. You know what I mean? You kind of got to look at it. It's happening to the winning team. So if you're betting orange Gatorade, then you also need to be betting the Bengals in this game. Just philosophy. What you're doing when you bet all these prop bets is you're trying to create a story and create your own narrative for how you see the game going and bet accordingly. So if you like the Bengals in this game, you got to hit orange Gatorade.
You mean I don't just flip a coin and that determines how I bet on everything?
You could. It honestly would probably turn out just as well as I do. So no hating there on the coin flip theory.
All right. And I know one other pet we always sometimes like to touch on is whether we're going to get, what is it, Pepsi or Mountain Dew or Pepsi or Coke first or whatever it is in the commercials.
Yeah, there's a Lindsay Lohan commercial that's circulating now, I believe. I always bet on some sort of Tex-Mex or Mexican food brand. I had a famous win a few years ago where the avocados from Mexico commercial showed before the Cheez-Its commercial, and it was like a 15-1 underdog. I'll never forget it. It funded like months of betting for me. So there's all sorts of random ways that you can win in the commercial game as well. I will tweet those out later this week. So be sure again to follow us on Twitter. You're at MWRINC. I'm at Course of Life 1. I'm going to have a full buffet of prop bets. But that's just the teaser right there. I'll definitely be picking some commercials in order of appearance as well, though.
Love it. Let's also, before we move on from talking all this sports stuff, let's bring some breaking news that happened this past week. Alex, I don't know if you saw this, but a player, the last remaining active player who was drafted by the Montreal Expos retired this past week.
That is impressive. And I'm pretty sure you're referring to someone who didn't even play baseball professionally. Is that right?
He could have been one of the best catchers to ever play the game. Instead, he went on to become arguably a pretty good quarterback.
Yes, there's your fun fact for the week. Is that Tom Brady was drafted by the Montreal Expos to play baseball.
He was. Back in 1995. Instead, he decided to go play football, and he had a pretty average career, I think. If you look at what he was able to accomplish over his few years in the NFL, I do think it's particularly hilarious that, as usual, we record these podcasts on Monday nights, and then the very next day, before the episode actually comes out on Tuesday evening, everything we talk about is moot. So
right, so that means that Brady's going to start a baseball career. And join which MLB franchise? What do you think? I
don't know if you saw it, but right after he retired, the Savannah Bananas here in Savannah put up a photo of him in a Bananas uniform, and that's why he's really retiring. He's coming to Savannah.
Now's the time to get your pitch off right now. If you're any pro sports franchise, why not? Just shoot your shot.
Exactly. He could have been a catcher. I'm sure he can maybe remember how to hold, squat and do all that fun stuff.
That's the real headline. Like Tom Brady could have been a banana. He could have been a banana.
Let's hashtag always end with food.
Yep, decent segue there, by the way. Hashtag always end with food, brought to you by Tosi Snacks, makers of the Tosi Bites. Tosi.com/COL, promo code COL20 for 20% off our favorite on the course snack. A few things to get to. I'm going to lead the way first with something that made me want to vomit. It disgusted me, Mike. Have you seen what McDonald's is doing, promoting a land, air, and sea sandwich in which they are just deciding that you can now mix beef patties with fish patties and chicken patties? And what has this world come to?
I mean, I think it's still there, the KFC famous bowls where they just throw everything into a bowl and then shove it into your face. This is McDonald's version of that.
This is grotesque. I'm sorry. Listen, I love every McDonald's sandwich. I love them individually, though. That is the key. Don't ever throw all of these meat patties together. They're calling it the land, air, and sea. No, thank you. Keep all of those three completely separate. Never merge them near each other at all, and stay out of that, McDonald's. A very bothersome campaign that I saw. I just had to get that off my chest real quick.
How many heart attacks are they advertising this will give you? This is remnants
of the double Big Mac, if you remember back in the day when they're just going for ultimate gluttony, and they had too many reports of sick customers, so they dropped that quickly off the menu. People forget that. So there's all sorts of strange things going on with McDonald's marketing right now, but a high disapprove on the land, air, and sea.
That's I don't want anything to do with that at all. Not interested.
Thank you.
Hey, I made something new that I've never made before this weekend, though.
That's interesting because you make bread a lot, but what was new this week about it?
I made croissants.
I saw these. I'm going to give you a B+ on the roll.
Yeah, I've never done anything like this, obviously, and I wasn't super thrilled with the result. They didn't look spectacular. They taste all right. Here's what I would say about these croissants. Here's what I would say. There are other things that I have made that are not as difficult to make and I think taste a whole lot better that I would rather make. Yeah, that's what I'm saying right now. Now, could I make croissants again and do a better job with it? Maybe now that I've done it once. Yeah, probably. Am I going to? I don't know.
Yeah, I know. It becomes the effort versus the payoff thing in the end if you're creating as well too. So okay, lesson learned for croissants. One more food shout out. Valentine's Day. This weekend, Mike, plans, dinner. What are you doing? What's going on?
Actually, literally just talked about it with the wife before we got on to record here. And, it's a very busy weekend when you think about it, because Sunday is Super Bowl Sunday. Yes. Monday is Valentine's Day. But we haven't talked about this. We record, as I've said many times on this podcast, we record Monday nights, Alex. So I'm assuming that we are spending Valentine's evening together because it's a Monday night.
Oh, our wives are going to love that. That's going to be great.
I know. So I said that. I said that to the wife, and she just kind of gave me a look, and I went, so Saturday night is when we'll do something, right? And she just was like, oh, okay. And I was like, so what do you want? You want to go out? Good luck getting into a restaurant right now, and we don't really want to eat in restaurants still. We're still a little hesitant on that. So it's like, what do you want to do for dinner? You want me to cook? Do you want steak? And she went, yes. So I'm making steak.
That sounds great. Yeah, we're going to do one and one. So we're doing one night where I'm going to cook dinner at home. One night we're going out. I just snuck the reservation just in time. It's getting tough out there. If you're listening by now, it's already too late. I got an 8 p.m. reservation. I'm happy I did. But here's the idea I need to share out there. If you're listening right now and you haven't done the dinner reservation this week, it's too late. You've already missed the boat. However, grab that 4:30 or 5 p.m. reservation that you would never dare grab. And what you do is you go there. You get a drink or an appetizer there, and then you go home, and then you do the nice cooked dinner at home. You kill two birds with one stone. You're welcome, gentlemen out there. Hopefully everyone has a great Valentine's Day, and hopefully it's as scrumptious as ours. I'm going Italian, by the way. What kind of steaks do you think you're going to do?
I'm gonna go get some high quality steaks. I'm just not gonna go to Publix and get whatever they have on the shelf. We're gonna go to a meat market and get good steak. And I'm gonna do what I always do. I'm just gonna do a good old fashioned high heat in the cast iron butter base. I may do some sort of either caramelized onions or mushrooms or something to go on the side with it. And the wife's going to find something to bake. So we'll have a baked dessert to go with it as well. So
sounds absolutely scrumptious. Nice. Everyone enjoy the massive weekend incoming. The Super Bowl Valentine's Day combo. Get used to it, everyone. This is the wave of the future with the 17-game NFL season. That's a wrap on this week's Course of Life. We'll see everyone next week.